Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov dismissed European efforts to provide Ukraine with security guarantees as a road to nowhere without Moscow's participation. Lavrov said any foreign troop deployment in Ukraine would be absolutely unacceptable, accusing Western nations of forming an anti-Russian alliance to undermine Trump-Putin peace efforts. He stressed security talks must include Russia to be credible. Meanwhile, about 10 nations in the Coalition of the Willing say they're prepared to deploy forces, though largely for rear echelon roles. The UK, France, Poland, and the US are expected to focus on air patrols, with Trump emphasizing America's role in aerial defense. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has reportedly offered Budapest as a neutral venue for peace talks between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, following U.S. President Donald Trump's calls with both leaders. Bloomberg reported the proposal, though Orban has not confirmed it publicly. While supportive of diplomacy, Orban opposes Ukraine's NATO and EU membership, holding veto power over its accession. President Trump raised EU membership as a security guarantee, which Orban rejected. Critics in Europe, including Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, opposed Budapest as a venue, while French President Emmanuel Macron suggested Geneva instead. Switzerland has also offered, but faces neutrality concerns due to sanctions on Russia. At a United Nations Security Council briefing, Russian Deputy Envoy Dmitry Polyansky accused Ukraine of supplying weapons, drones, and training to militants in Africa's Sahel region. He alleged Kyiv's intelligence services were involved in subversive activities and called for investigations. Polyansky criticized the UN for overlooking Western interference, citing NATO's role in Libya in 2011. He also accused France of backing jihadist groups to enforce neocolonial policies. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have previously expelled French forces and accused both France and Ukraine of supporting armed groups. The UK government has begun contacting landlords to house tens of thousands of asylum seekers in private rentals after a court ordered the closure of the Bell Hotel in Essex, where an Ethiopian migrant allegedly assaulted a 14-year-old girl. The High Court ruling, sought by Epping Forest Council, may trigger nationwide legal challenges, with Nigel Farage pledging action from Reform UK-controlled councils and even some Labour-led councils joining. The Home Office is targeting 5,000 two-bedroom homes to accommodate 20,000 migrants, despite concerns about worsening housing shortages and risks to women's safety. Recent protests follow cases of migrants accused of violent assaults. President Trump wrote on Truth Social that Ukraine cannot win its war by only defending itself, criticizing former President Joe Biden for restricting Kyiv to defense. Comparing war to sports, Trump said there's no chance of winning without offense. He noted that during Alaska talks, Putin agreed to security guarantees for Ukraine, with Europe providing troops and the U.S. coordinating. President Trump is arranging bilateral talks between Putin and Zelensky, followed by a trilateral summit. Russia's Sergei Lavrov warned foreign deployments would be unacceptable. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis updated the media on the illegal immigrant truck driver accused of killing 3 people in a massive wreck on a Florida highway.
He tried to do a U-turn where it's official use only, and the other car didn't have a chance because it's just totally reckless and out of control driving. He is in custody in California, and I've sent our Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins, who's Green Beret, he knows operations. He is over there in California. He's going to be taking possession of this illegal alien truck driver. We're extraditing him back to Florida. He will arrive in Florida today, and he will get the book thrown at him very shortly after that, I can guarantee you.
We'll be back with another news break at the top of the next hour.
What is Australia's deadliest predator? The one that hits with more than 30 Gs of force. Strikes in under a second. Leaves catastrophic injury in its wake. You won't hear it, you won't see it, not until it's too late. Australia's deadliest predator isn't found in the wild. It's on our roads. Speeding is the killer.
The earlier cancer is found, the better our chances of treating it.
Lung cancer screening is available for people with a smoking history. To find out if you're eligible for a free scan,
see a doctor or a health professional.
it could save your life.
I want to be the best dad that I can be.
I will be her biggest fan.
I want to be his superhero.
I love being connected to my kids.
She means the world to me.
I'm looking forward to this game, mate. It's going to be so much fun.
I love being his dad and his best mate.
She is very special to me.
With the latest information and analysis of major events from around the world, this is today's News Talk, The World Today.
And welcome again. It's our second edition of our news show at a lunchtime, and I can't hear a damn thing in my headphones. I wonder why that is. Maybe we just have a technical problem. But anyway, we shall soldier on. My guest first up is Anna McLoughlin. She's Communication Advisor for NZDSOS. We're going to be talking about the Medical Council decision to fine NZDSOS for court cost. Now, one of the post said, "Weekly SOS, don't let them shut us down. Your help is needed now. New Zealand doctors speaking out with science." Now, before we get into Anna, Cam, could you just go to a commercial break again, if you wouldn't mind? I need to fix up these headphones. I can't hear a blessed thing, for want of a better word.
Be safe, honey.
No matter where you go, always gear up before hitting the road.
Respect road laws and riders, too.
Look twice. Stop early. Stay aware.
Ride safe. Being tough doesn't mean taking risks. Ride smart, share the road, and get home to what matters most.
When you hear the words nonprofit organization, what comes to mind? Is it a place your dog called home before finding you? Is it an organization that supports accessibility? Is it a place that ensures your safety and that of those you love? That protects endangered wildlife and habitats, or fights for our most basic needs? It's impossible to show all the ways nonprofit organizations make a difference in our world. One animal, one person, one cause at a time, but it's not impossible to be part of it. When you give what you have to a nonprofit organization that needs what you can give, you help promote, protect, and strengthen the reach of these incredible organizations. The Nonprofit Alliance is here, helping connect people like you to the nonprofits that enrich your life, your community, and the world we share. Reach out to a nonprofit organization that inspires you today to find how you can help make the world a better place.
I start every run with a plan and a promise to stay safe. A big part of my plan is to be alert to drivers and other pedestrians. Whether you're on your feet or behind the wheel, the road belongs to all of us. Every trip, every time, safety first. Alert today, alive tomorrow.
We're today's News Talk, The World Today.
What is Australia's deadliest predator? The one that hits with more than 30 Gs of force. Strikes in under a second. Leaves catastrophic injury in its wake. You won't hear it, you won't see it, not until it's too late. Australia's deadliest predator isn't found in the wild. It's on our roads. Speeding is the killer.
The earlier cancer is found, the better our chances of treating it.
Lung cancer screening is available for people with a smoking history. To find out if you're eligible for a free scan,
See a doctor or a health professional.
it could save your life.
I want to be the best dad that I can be.
I will be her biggest fan.
I want to be his superhero.
I love being connected to my kids.
She means the world to me.
I'm looking forward to this game, mate. It's going to be so much fun.
I love being his dad and his best mate.
She is very special to me.
With the latest information and analysis of major events from around the world, this is today's News Talk, The World Today.
We're back again. I have to be serious. Anna could see what was happening. I'm sure she thought about an SOS for me. Anna McLoughlin, thank you for joining us. Sorry about my headphones. They weren't working. You know when you have those days.
Absolutely. Things go wrong.
I actually wanted to come find it somewhere I can hang myself with this. Like, it just didn't want to work. Anyway, and it's a very simple device. It needs to be for me. Now, the medical council decision to fine the New Zealand or NZDSOS for court cost, that's outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite disturbing because these are people, the doctors within my organisation, they have stood up and spoken out and lost so much. They've been fined personally, that some have received criminal convictions, some have been are still going through tribunal processes now, all for wanting to uphold the fundamental principle of providing fully informed consent to their patients.
Yeah. What can you do? Are you going to appeal it?
No, we can't appeal it. So basically, we just have to foot the bill of that $100,000 of court costs.
Why can't you appeal it?
Pardon?
Why can't you appeal it?
We can't appeal it. If I can clarify this properly, I don't want to get this incorrect, but I'm pretty sure we have appealed those court costs and lost.
So that's terrible.
Yeah, so basically, while like the former ministers who are escaping their $66 billion spend, they're escaping accountability to be able to front up to the Royal Commission of Inquiry that was meant to start last Wednesday. We are sitting here fitting a bill that we took the Medical Council to court in a class action lawsuit to really check the Medical Council's guidance statement that was issued around the vaccines, where it said there will be no room for anti-vaccine sentiment in medical practice. And when you look at the FDA's slide 16 going back to 2020, they were looking at all sorts of side effects from these vaccines, encephalomyelitis, Guillain-Barré syndrome, convulsion seizures, strokes, anaphylaxis, all sorts. And they weren't allowed to provide that fully informed consent because that was considered anti-vaccination messaging.
Can you tell me how much the bill is for?
So it's $100,000. Its court costs of $54,000, $35,000 to the Dental Council, $14,000 What we also did was take the Hastings District Council to court over compulsory water fluoridation, because as we know from the US's decisions recently, fluoridation the water is putting a neurotoxin in the water supply, and it doesn't actually affect the teeth properly. So there's another $14,000 to the Hastings District Council, plus additional Crown costs of $15,000.
Lordy. You might have to have a tent. It was terrible. I'm shocked. And also, a guy that used to work with this, Dave, he used to talk about fluoride all the time, and he said, and you are right about that too, the fluoride. We have been using it for years, but we don't drink it. We use it to clean our teeth. Now, if you're drinking it or ingesting fluoride, you're going to be in all sorts of trouble, aren't you?
Yes, it can cause all sorts of problems. Fluoridosis, if I can remember what was going back correctly, but basically it can cause your teeth to decay if you're ingesting it a lot. And you can get all sorts of overdoses. There doesn't seem to be a safe amount. There are long-term studies that show that it has detrimental effects on the development of little children, sort of from 6 months to 5 years. It can lower IQ. Is there a desire to lower the intelligence of the population? I don't know, but
I think they need much help at this stage. Because, I mean, truly, if there was another outbreak, you'd have a great number. A perceived outbreak, you'd have a great number would be doing all sorts of things to follow what government says, because, as a former Prime Minister says, trust us, we telling you the truth. It's a very bad accent, by the way.
True.
It's more South African. Tell me, I'm just thinking with the fluoride, if there is that, because fluoride, they say, helps keep our teeth in our head and healthy. You just said if you drink fluoride, it will rot your teeth. Why would they then be putting, I mean, and if you know that, they know that, why would they then be putting fluoride in the water supply, knowing full well it doesn't look after the teeth, it rots them?
Well, we listened to a council hearing from a local government entity down in a place called Rotorua in New Zealand here. And the Ministry of Health representative who was at that meeting says, we are not treating people, we are treating the water. And that is a little bit confusing if you're looking to provide dental treatments to mass medicate the population through the water supply. Yet when the Ministry of Health representative comes along and says, oh, we're actually not treating people, we're treating the water, there's a bit of a disconnect there. So it's unclear really what the motives of the government officials are who are putting these directives in place.
Now, I'm getting very confused here. If you put fluoride into the water and they say it's protecting the water, but if you drink that water, it will decay your teeth, rot your teeth, then perhaps that water...
It could do. It's more likely to do other damage to your...
Yeah, but fluoride, you're not supposed to drink it.
No, you're not
supposed to ingest it, and scientific evidence does show that. But I'm just confused here. So how would fluoride protect the water?
That's a great question that was not answered in that council hearing.
Because
no one had any idea.
Monty Python would have a magnificent time with this, the whole crew of them. This doesn't make sense. You can't, I mean, if you're putting in the water, knowing full well that the substance you're putting in the water could harm your constituents, people who drink that water, if you're putting that into that and they say, well, that's just collateral damage, we're putting that fluoride in there to protect the water. But if you can't drink that water, what's the point of protecting it?
You've brought up a brilliant point there. There is no point in protecting it.
I know it's lunchtime and you probably haven't had an 80s lunch for a long time, but this is where you are excused to have one, because you need to have a very long lunch, copious amounts of alcohol to make any sense of this. What council is this?
Well, so this is actually all local government entities have been directed by the Director General of Health to put fluoride in their water supply by a certain time frame, within a certain time frame that is coming up shortly. So what we did is we tried to see if we could fight against that, because we don't believe in mass medication. And so the whole country is supposed to have a fluoridated water supply by a certain time.
What's it called? Is it called Interteeth?
Entity.
How do you spell that, by the way?
Oh, an entity.
Entity.
E-N-T-I-T-Y.
Okay, I thought you said
All government entities, yes.
Yeah, I thought you said Interteeth, and I thought
No.
this is just getting more bizarre. I need 2 long lunches.
Yeah.
But I'm not now. So therefore, here's the thing: we all, cows are very important because we have milk, meat, all sorts of stuff from that, butter, anything that we like to enjoy, and that's good for you. What we find governments to stop them from destroying the earth, which is hysterical to say the least, by giving them, I think it's bovar, isn't it? And what you do is you give the animals this, and what it does, it stops them from passing wind, or as we would say here, farting. So if you're going to stop them from passing wind and you're poisoning them with bovar, and if you look in Europe, there have been a large number of accounts now of countries that administer bovar to animals. I think it's bovar or bovax anyway, administer it to animals. They are falling sick and dying in pain. So what we're thinking about now is, bugger that for a joke, they're still alive. We'll put fluoride in the water. And that should knock them on their head with a bit of bovar. What's wrong with you? What is wrong with your governments? Have they been smoking something they shouldn't?
It kind of appears that they are. I mean, there's been a huge case in the States that has absolutely proven at a federal government level that fluoride is a neurotoxin and should not be used in the water supply. It is a legitimate non-conspiracy theory decision that was made. And we are going against that and forcing it into the water supplies throughout New Zealand.
I'm just, they actually, what was that series, the movie they made there in Air New Zealand used to feature it on their in-flight safety demos. What was it called? Had flying.
Country of Wilder People?
That's something like that. I mean, truly, just tell me this in all honesty, and look at me in the eye and tell me, has your government been taken over by the cast and crew of those movies?
Wouldn't surprise me. I genuinely question what their motives are with a lot of the decisions every day. And it's both sides of the political spectrum. I mean, it's basically 2 wings of the same bird that we've got here.
And here's the killer, because we are having a bit of a unbelievable chuckle at some stupid decisions, very dangerous decisions. But the end result of this is that you guys are $100,000 short for protecting New Zealanders. And this is I see this, and it's quite evident, it's a way of shutting down NZDSOS. How do you fight that? I mean, first of all, how do you pay for it?
Well, we're doing fundraising at the moment. And so we're sort of asking for donations really to assist us in being able to cover those costs. And it's a really bittersweet campaign. It's not really, it's more of a bitter campaign, but it's giving money to these decision makers who believe that these cases are not in the public interest. You've got doctors who are wanting to uphold fully informed consent and stop mass medication being mandated throughout the country, and that is not in the public interest.
I think that we often, with the Pulse and with TNT, we used to talk about revolution. Because now we're much more mature, we shall still talk about revolution, because, I mean, your opposition are as bad as your government. In fact, the opposition was your government. And they are all like pigs in a trough here. They are enjoying the swill of, I don't know if it's corruption or if it's just plain stupidity or pig-headedness. What do you think? What is it? Is it stupidity and or pig-headedness?
I would call it pompous arrogance. I mean, they give themselves knighthoods and damehoods. They give themselves funding. They give themselves awards. They give themselves great press in the mainstream media. And they have no capacity to be able to front up in an online environment to the Royal Commission of Inquiry to be held accountable and ask questions about the massive amount of spending and the mandates that went along with the COVID years. And when I think about our government, I genuinely am concerned about the direction that it's leading our nation into. And at some point, people need to be able to stand up and say no, or at least ask the hard questions and have these courageous conversations on a daily basis.
Yeah, I just, I could imagine, when you got the bill, there's a couple of bottles of your finest would have been consumed. Actually, no, you wouldn't be able to afford your finest, even though you got some doctors there. The old cheapo bottle, just to wash down the woes. It's a very, very sad thing. How can the public help? Tell us how we can help.
Well, basically, you can head to our website at NZDSOS.com, and on our homepage, there's sort of an announcement of what's gone on and ways in which you will be able to assist us.
Yeah, it's terrible, I think. But it's a way government, I always say government, government rarely loses. They may go back to dust off the bruises and whatever, but they rarely lose. And here, I mean, you are doing, truly, you and I have spoken in your organisation for a long time. And you are very, very good people doing what you can to make New Zealand, and the rest of the world for that matter, a better place. And to have this happen to you, it's like the baddies have won this battle. It's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, behind the scenes, these doctors are absolutely incredible people. They genuinely care about the health of our nation and the well-being of their patients. They have absolutely everything to lose and nothing to gain from speaking out about this. So to me, in my opinion, they are the people who are the most trustworthy. Then the experts that we hear, sort of the tight five throughout New Zealand in the media, we hear them, they've got everything to gain and nothing to lose by continuing on this narrative. So it's a hard one, but these people behind the scenes here at NZDSOS are incredibly integral people.
And isn't it interesting, part of the marketing of New Zealand, which the whole world notices, is that it's a very beautiful place, pristine, clean and healthy. And at the moment, the healthy part should be just scraped off because you have your government doing what they can to dig in and be arrogant, as you said, and I think just pig-headedness. Government never loses, or they like not to lose. You can find more, by the way, at NZDSOS. Anna McLoughlin, Communications Advisor for NZDSOS. Thank you very much. Enjoy your long lunch. Coming up next, folks, we'll have Joachim Hagopian from Bali talking about something. We just talked about some really crazy things with the New Zealand health people, board, department, because to think about it, fluoride is very, very bad for you. And to drink it is not good. It doesn't fix your teeth. You have to clean it. And it causes other diseases too. So incredible. But the next one we're going to talk about is, I mentioned before, an 80s long lunch. That's what we all need to have. Besides being very pleasurable, we all need to have these just to try and make sense out of what governments around the world are doing. This is the world today.
Be safe, honey.
No matter where you go, always gear up before hitting the road.
Respect road laws and riders, too.
Look twice. Stop early. Stay aware.
Ride safe. Being tough doesn't mean taking risks. Ride smart, share the road, and get home to what matters most.
When you hear the words nonprofit organization, what comes to mind? Is it a place your dog called home before finding you? Is it an organization that supports accessibility? Is it a place that ensures your safety and that of those you love? That protects endangered wildlife and habitats or fights for our most basic needs? It's impossible to show all the ways nonprofit organizations make a difference in our world. One animal, one person, one cause at a time, but it's not impossible to be part of it. When you give what you have to a nonprofit organization that needs what you can give, you help promote, protect, and strengthen the reach of these incredible organizations. The Nonprofit Alliance is here, helping connect people like you to the nonprofits that enrich your life, your community, and the world we share. Reach out to a nonprofit organization that inspires you today to find how you can help make the world a better place.
I start every run with a plan and a promise to stay safe. A big part of my plan is to be alert to drivers and other pedestrians. Whether you're on your feet or behind the wheel, the road belongs to all of us. Every trip, every time, safety first. Alert today, alive tomorrow.
We're today's News Talk, the world today.
Back again, just had some chat there before. Someone saying that they've been doing this for quite some time, for a long time in Australia, and I do agree. What I'm finding very bizarre is that the New Zealand government, after someone presents them with the facts, they say, well, bad luck, you've lost this one and you can pay the court cost. Yet we do know that, fluoride is very dangerous, and yet they continue to put it in most water supplies, not in all water supplies in Australia. Joachim Hagopian is an independent journalist. He's just finished a paper on environmentally destructive and unsustainable data centers or data centers. First of all, I just want to, Joachim, tell us about the story about all these data centers that the governments around the world are running quickly to have large companies set up these data centers. And these governments, by the way, are also sprouting that we must save the planet and save humanity. Can you tell me if there's a slight contradiction?
Yeah. I mean, what we have is governments in bed with high tech and AI and robotics, because that is their agenda to replace the human population on this earth. So what they're doing with AI is they have to run these data centers all over the world. There's something upwards of near 12,000 worldwide, and about half of them, about 5,500 now, are in the United States. And what they do, you were talking recently about pollution. Well, there's nitrogen dioxide that is kicked out with these turbines. They have gas turbines that heat up and use so much electrical power ampage to heat up and put out the AI worldwide. And then you need so much water to cool the system down, or it overheats and explodes and won't go. So we have our governments in bed with the tech giants running up all these data centers now all over the world. And what they do is they cause the water ground level to drop significantly. And the ampage on the electricity power is so strong that the environments are not able to sustain it. So, it's a and it's all for greed too. Greed and more power and more surveillance of the human population, through AI and robotics, so it's bad environmentally. The nitrogen dioxide is killing people. There's a horrible smell, and it's pitting one neighbor against another in places like Northern Virginia. It's real bad. That's where it started out, by the way. And then they're going out into the desert where it's already a total arid climate that doesn't have water. They're in drought conditions. So it's just from beginning to end, it's disaster for the human race.
China, they're actually submersing their data centers in the ocean. Again, what could possibly go wrong? But so that would be one way of cooling the data centers. But I would imagine that they're opening. Well, they are opening just about everywhere, not necessarily near the seaboards. What can we do about this? Because if these data centers are promoted and encouraged by government, before too long, we're going to have an environmental catastrophe.
That's exactly where we're headed. And I do not see, with the fascist governments in bed with high tech, I don't see an end. I mean, I don't think they're going to come to their senses. They're feeding on greed and power and control over the human population, and ultimately genocide of the human population. It's pretty clear at this point with all their weapons of mass destruction and war and bioweapons, COVID, and all this crap over and over and over. Yeah, there's many ways they are out to get us, and that's just one more, And the other part of it is that they're needing all these rare earth minerals, so they're digging up all kinds of places all over the earth now in search of that, because they have to have high volume of that for these AI centers as well. So yeah, it's a recipe for disaster, but hey, if you're the controller, you don't care because that's your whole idea. You're going to have zero carbon, where you get rid of all the carbon based world life forms, which is us and every other life form on this earth, and you replace it with a silicon based planet of barren, robotics. Very happy for robotics and AI, but otherwise it's called complete disaster. And it's disaster ultimately for AI as well, because there's not enough water to go around to cool these plants down.
I'm quite shocked with all this, because if you think about it, we have this continuous desire to know everything, about ourselves, about the planets nearby and how the world began and all that sort of stuff. So the quest for knowledge is understandable, but it comes at a cost. Which countries are the most prolific for these data centers? I'd imagine it'd be probably China, although they are putting these data centers or these great monstrosities in the ocean. But what about the Western ones, such as the US, the UK? What about Europe?
The US has about half of them. They have about 46% of all data centers in the world. So they're about half. Next comes China, that has 560, something like that. They're building them very fast now also, but they're quite a ways behind, half of them all around the world. And Germany and Britain are behind, it's still in the 500 range going up for Britain and Germany, behind China. So those are the four biggest.
I'm just thinking about solar panels would be a good one, I suppose, to help with the energy. And I can imagine great expanses. What about nuclear energy? I believe there are some of these countries who are wanting to, or if not, have already purchased a couple of reactors to power these data centers.
Yeah, and if they can control, espionage and major tampering with them, like what Ukraine's trying to do with the big one there in the Ukraine war, um, if they can control the safety of the nuclear plants, I think that's a relatively clean way of generating energy. Certainly far more effective and efficient than wind or solar power. That has not worked very well. So that's just one way, and obviously if they put them underwater, but then you got the tampering situation where like what had to happen to Nord Stream, the pipeline. There can be all kinds of sabotage. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like any way you go, it's going to be bad. And there's a whole other story to tell about what are the ethics of AI and robotics? Well, if they're out to replace us, ultimately, like all the science fiction films, and stories of our past that always have the machine taking over the human population, because after all, the human population can't keep up with intelligence of the artificial robot and machine. So, yeah, I mean, in every case, there's not a good end game going on here, except if you're one of the controllers, the money changing, dominating controllers of this world. You want to eliminate a huge part of the human population and turn it into a silicon based world where you have the rare earth and minerals and as long as you can take care of the heating and cooling problems, I guess you're in business.
What about companies? Which are the largest companies? Amazon would be right up there. Who else is?
Yeah, all the big giants, Microsoft and Amazon is huge. Elon Musk's company, the AI, robotics I mean, AI that Trump has. I guess he calls it AEI, something like that. But yeah, I mean, all the big guys, Palantir's another one. All the big tech giants are involved in this big time, big time.
Yeah, Australia is very keen to get. Albanese is most enthusiastic about having these giant data centres, and it's great because in Victoria, one of our states here, they are in most parts of Victoria experiencing a drought. That should really go down well. Water? Who needs water? Where do we go though from here? How do we stop this expanse, or how do we get a mix of what is required and what is going to be dangerous, or do they not care?
I personally think that they don't really care what the outcome is, even though we know it's going to be negative, but that's their agenda. It's all negative. Um, But, there's technology, if they were allowed to, they've pretty much kidnapped the Tesla technology where free energy, the ions in the atmosphere, they can turn water, they have, and they have the weather warfare where there's droughts, but they can also do cloud seeding and make rain, So there's really almost no excuse for drought conditions. So worldwide, just in the last 40 years, they say that there's a 40% higher drought condition on the earth. So to me, with the technology already in place to create water, rainwater, I think it's all being done deliberately to be destructive of the human population. That's the end game goal, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Americans, say for example in California, they have a low regard for water, and if you look at up in the valleys where they grow, or I think past Santa Maria, up that part of the woods where they grow all the fruit and veg and stuff like that, around Salinas and stuff. There are many towns there, not big towns, but towns that actually have no water. The actual water table is dropping considerably because there's no replenishment of it. And they do understand, government understands that there will be all hell to pay if there is no water. And when you have towns that have no water, they've got to bring their own water in. And these are towns, they've got some traffic lights and all that sort of stuff. They haven't got water. It shows you the lack of regard, doesn't it, from government towards an essential ingredient of life, and that is water. The other thing is we did a whole bunch of filming there a little while back, and the hotel was staying at, it had a sign in the room, drought, please, use sparingly. And in the car park below the hotel, it wasn't the Hilton, by the way, but it was a nice big car park. And the people there who worked for the hotel, who put the signs in the rooms, be careful of the water, they had these great fire hydrants. And they were just cleaning this car park like it was going out of fashion. And they were wasting water. Government itself, and you are right, they can fix things. Why won't they fix things and take away the part of wanting to destroy mankind? Why are they? I mean, they have enough. They have departments for departments. Surely one of those departments can actually say, no, what you're doing is you're using up a resource that we can't afford to lose.
Well, I think they're in the business of creating mega crises right now all over the earth. And so they're full speed ahead on this disastrous outcome that's in the making right now. They're full speed ahead, and they don't care about the negative consequence. So, yeah, I think it's going to take a mass uprising by the people to maybe stop it. But who knows? It could even be possibly too late. But
I think
it's never too late as far as I'm concerned, because if you give up and feel defeated, then it's already a done deal. So,
and what about jobs? I mean, even though these may be creating the odd job here or there, it must be taking away established occupations that have been around since Adam was a boy. It must be just decimating these occupations and creating mass unemployment.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot. They look upon the human beings as expendable and useful eaters, useless eaters, and so, yeah, they're replacing us, and they don't need us. They don't want us. They don't need us. So it's a dire situation. For basically, it's down to a fight for survival of our species.
I totally agree. Taking jobs, taking energy, and taking water, and they're the good points for it. So what do we do about it? How do we change?
Well, I think everything starts local. You got to get connected with the people around you and unite in a mobilized, organized way where there can be resistance and opposition to the lawmakers that are behind all of these dire changes that are putting on us. So I think, if we go that route, we can at least make our voices heard and known, and put people on notice that we're not willing to put up with what's going on here. And if we unite on a global scale, yeah, we can make a big difference. So that's how I always read it as far as what we can do.
Yep. Now, moving, because last time we were talking about Trump and his finer points of not being exactly a pedophile, but you were quite insistent that he had been out with younger girls, I think 16, 17. So he's not the true ugly pedophile. Trump seems to be at the moment in desperate need of a Nobel Peace Prize, and that's not going to happen, is it? Not with Ukraine. Zelensky is creating I've just seen a clip before posted on X that he will decide when there's peace with Russia. You see that Trump does really want to have a peace deal, or it seems so. You see that the EU, the willing of the grovelling, or the coalition of the grovelling, when they went and had a meeting with Trump. Where do you see this ending? Because if Zelensky doesn't, and he said this, he does not want to have peace until he's ready. They've then reached this intersection in the road where there's this great wall going up, and they'll never get across. Where to from here?
Well, I don't think Zelensky has much longer in power in Ukraine. I think they're going to get rid of him, and one way or the other. And I also think with Europe, those morons going so much to not make peace and to extend the war, it's going to end militarily. I've been saying this. I don't see reasoning prevailing here. I mean, we might have good good intention by Trump and Putin, but we have so much resistance and opposition to peace. So, and in that part of the world, so from the people there. So, yeah, I don't see it. I think it's going to be a Russian offensive that's going to go all the way, have to go all the way up to Poland, and then put in some kind of neutral government in Kiev. I see that as the outcome ultimately. I don't think there's through diplomatic channels. I don't think it's going to happen.
And I see that President Peace again, because he wants peace throughout the world, seems to be wanting a piece of Venezuela. Tell us quickly about that.
Yeah, my latest I just put out there a few hours ago. Yeah, he's on the march. Basically, he's got like 3 destroyers and auxiliary warships out there in the South Caribbean Sea now, not far from this country called Venezuela. With Maduro, the president. Before. They've hated these guys that have been the president of Venezuela. Any country that does not go along with the program of allowing their country to be raped and pillaged by the big banking system or by U.S. military or U.S. corporation, U.S. dominance, U.S. exploitation, U.S. imperialism. If you don't go along with that agenda, yeah, you are on the shit list and you have economic sanctions, so on and on. For the last 26 years now, Venezuela, just like Cuba for many, many years and still is, they take these countries and of course the bigger ones are Iran, Russia, and China, the BRICS leaders. And so, Venezuela is trying to be, a BRICS member, and they're being sabotaged and threatened right now by the United States. And of course, the bogus charge by Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the U.S., claiming that they're a terrorist organization now, and they're jeopardizing the national security of America. Rah, let's go to war. Oh my God, it's so nauseating. The same old divide and conquer, over and over and over again. And the thing is, obvious, and I also make the point that what she accuses Venezuela of doing is bringing in all this cocaine lace with the fentanyl. Well, the fentanyl production is pharmaceutical, big pharma. That's the major contributor to fentanyl. And so, yeah, it's totally off base, but here we go. The Nobel Peace running candidate wants war with his own Western Hemispheric nations.
Yeah, I just we'll talk more in the week, hopefully, about Venezuela. But I think it's, Tell me, is there any other country in the world he hasn't yet attacked in the name of peace? I'm just wondering. We're running out of it. Speaking of attacking, I don't know whether you read this stuff, but I always believe that a good movie with an alien in it makes it a better movie. the cowboy ones, loved ones, if you just had an alien pop up here and there just to zap a few people, always makes me happy because I like that sort of stuff. But I was reading a scientist who said there's this large object that's 7 miles across, travelling at 150,000 miles an hour or something on its way to heading in our direction. And he said that this structure is, it's a structure. It's not a piece of rock or something coming towards us. Have you read about that at all? I'm putting you on the spot here, but I thought that's an interesting story, because if you want to see the world go to poo, something that's 7 miles across, that's a structure that plonks itself outside the Earth, would certainly create some concern, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I did run across that story. Apparently, they believe it to be some kind of spaceship galactically traveling towards us that actually is piloted by, some intelligent means. And so there's intelligent life out there. Now, of course, here's another thing. They've been talking about the extraterrestrial and the whole idea that there might be an ET invasion, all that, as a way of doing one world government within a very short time, in defense of Earth, like they really care about humans on this Earth. But anyway, it's an interesting sci-fi story that, apparently it's the scientist that's making these claims. I want to see more about it to get, exactly what it is and what their purpose might be. I have run across, there is obviously, I believe that there's intelligent life out there, and we've been visited many times, and even mixed in with our population. But anyway, there is concern, intergalactic concern, about what the humans are doing to this Earth, and so maybe it's like a wake up call of, we're coming to confront you, where you can't make war and blow yourself up, and don't go down that road. Who knows?
Well, if they're looking for intelligent life here, all they have to do is look at Starmer and a few
We're
others.
going to keep looking then.
Yeah, we'll go past that place. They've got, Planet of the Apes still. But it is an interesting story. And you just wonder. I mean, I do believe there's life out there. You can't say there's not. And intelligent life at that too. But, they said, be careful setting out probes saying, hello, we're Earthlings. How are you? Because they may not be that friendly. So maybe they got one of our probes. They've been probed by NASA, which is terrifying if you think about it. But I won't go there. But anyway, it's a interesting scenario. And my addiction to science fiction is always because I used to watch My Favorite Martian. Remember that one?
Vaguely. I love Twilight Zone. That was a great series.
That was a bit scary. I like My Favorite Martian because he was a nice guy. He was a nice Martian.
Yes.
Anyway, Joachim Hagopian, thank you so much for your time. Somebody wants to find out more or to support you, how do they do that?
Well, for all my books, I've done 5 books doing the scourge on pedophilia. It's the same people behind all the bad on this earth that do the pedophilia also, for sexual blackmail control. Pedoempire.org is where you can find every chapter of my 5 books. You can also buy the paperbacks on Amazon. And I put all my articles out on thegovernmentrag.com.
Fantastic. Joachim Hagopian, enjoy. I know it's a bit earlier than normal. Gives you time now to go out and play with your water buffalo. Thank you so much for your time. This is The World Today.